Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Game and Gig podcast, we're talking about the recent Nintendo partner and indie directs. Would Concord be more successful as a free-to-play game? And are we or anyone interested in the PS5 Pro?
Well, guys, welcome to the Game and Gig podcast. We are a viewer-driven podcast. We read and react to your comments. Of course, this is a gaming podcast. We talk about games. Now, guys, we are well on our way to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there, so help us out. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast. Today, we're starting things off with a talk about the Nintendo partner and indie directs. Daniel, did you see these two dual directs?
Man, I knew about them, but you also know I worked through them. So, I appreciate you not rubbing that in. But
right.
I was actually really sad that I wasn't able to watch them. But and I still have not just sat down and watched them, but I have read the recaps.
Man.
I certainly have some personal high points. But I'm interested to maybe see what some other people think, including yourself, because I don't think we've really talked about it. I think I did tell you what stuck out to me, and I don't think it was any secret. It was obviously the Sea of Stars DLC. That's huge for me. Just getting to actually see that was awesome. And other than that, there were definitely things that caught my eye, but nothing that got me so excited like that. The Balatro stuff was also very cool, but I haven't played that game in a while. So, maybe I'll get back into it. What did you think, Gampaw?
Well, we'll go through it kind of little bit, or just line by line. I guess really we'll kind of go through all the announcements that were at these dual directs. And we'll also go over some comments and some polls where we ask people about, what they thought about it. I don't know what kind of order you want to do this in. Should we go through the direct first, then see what everyone thought about it? Or maybe we should see what people thought about it and then go through and dissect it. I don't know. What are you thinking?
I was kind of thinking we'd go through it first before we went into the poll.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll go through it. I'll pull it up here on my end. I've got here on Nintendo Life, they did a kind of a recap of all the announcements. And this was really, really cool because it's actually, I should say, not cool. This was super weird because Nintendo has, in my memory, they've never done this dual direct where they've got a Nintendo Direct and an Indie World back to back, or I guess it was the other way around. It was Indie World, then the Partner Showcase Direct.
Right. So
weird. 40 minutes when you put it all together, but two separate events. I don't know. This seems so strange to me.
Yeah, it was weird. There's an elephant in the room that maybe we'll talk about in a comment later that obviously everybody in Nintendo land is really hyped about. And, I'd be lying if I said when these directs or this direct, however you want to think about it, got announced, I was a little okay, I guess it's not this time again, but it was a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Super strange. I mean, 40 minutes. So if you told me that there was going to be a 40-minute direct, I would be like, what? 40 minutes right now? We're at the tail end of the Switch's life. It's been going on forever now. Mm-hmm. The fact that Nintendo's still putting out directs that are 40 minutes worth, I would expect right now to get maybe an Indie World or the Partner Showcase. But you put them together, you get this weird hodgepodge event. In my mind, they did this because there was one thing from Nintendo, but there was hardly anything from Nintendo. The only thing I can think of from Nintendo that was announced, we'll get to in a little while, but it was basically something coming to NSO, and that was it.
Well, that's why they called it a partner direct and not just a Nintendo direct.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was basically saying Nintendo had nothing to announce. I suppose they could have thrown in, we got the trailer for the new Legend of Zelda game a few days later. I guess they could have put that in there, but what's the point,
Yeah. Well, that's big news. That's maybe bigger than an indie or partner direct, in my opinion.
Right. That would be more suitable for a regular direct, right?
Exactly.
But if that's the only thing Nintendo's got, it doesn't quite make it a full-on regular direct. So I see why they went with what they did. It just seems super weird.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. We want to start going through these things?
Yeah. So the first thing they showed was this crossover DLC that Balatro's getting. Basically, I think it's mostly a cosmetic DLC.
Yeah, it is.
I think, right?
Yeah, it is. It's just theming the cards So what is it? Witcher, Dave the Diver, Among Us, and Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
And they're just cosmetic. They make the card look, they're themed to that game, and that's really cool. And I'm glad it doesn't tweak Belatro's gameplay, because Belatro's gameplay is damn near perfect. So I think this is neat. I haven't loaded it up yet, but I think Kit has, so it's probably cool.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it is cool. I mean, to me, this seems like, I guess, an okay way to start off an indie world. Balatro is really hot right now. I don't think that this DLC is groundbreaking, but I'm sure that for fans of Balatro and fans of these games, it's just cool. It's
Randy,
just cool.
I think the fact that we talked about a Balatro DLC and you said this was an okay way to start an indie direct. I think you deserve a little bit of outcry for that. Because when you say this is cool for fans of Balatro, Randy, you're the only person in the world left that hasn't played Balatro. You know that, right?
I'm just saying, if it's just cosmetic, it's just cosmetic. I mean,
That's
you can
because
only
the game's
get so
already
hyped
perfect.
about cosmetics.
Not true. We play Sea of Thieves, and that's nothing but an open world pirate sandbox dress up adventure. And I get so hyped about cosmetics.
Well, I'm glad that Balatro is now going to be a little bit of a dress up adventure too.
Right. That's
I
what
think
I'm
every
getting at.
game needs to have a little bit of a dress up adventure aspect to it.
And see, longtime friend of the channel, Heck here, saying Balatro DLC was a great announcement. Hell yes, it was. Boo this man.
I don't really know that. I mean, I guess this is technically DLC. I don't want to get into the weeds on what should be considered DLC and what's just an update.
Oh,
I'm not gonna, I don't know. I'm not even gonna go there. We're gonna leave it out. I just need to play Balatro, and then maybe then I'd be more excited about having Geralt on my cards.
Yeah. And I was actually reacting to the shot in the heart that Benjamin just gave me by saying, "What's Balatro?" in our Twitch chat. That one hurt. So there's two of y'all that haven't played Balatro, apparently. So that's cool.
Yeah,
there's more than one
there's
of
two
you,
of us.
Randy. You have a friend. All right, what's
Let's
next?
move on before I get into more trouble. There was this. So the people behind the what is it? Grease.
Uh,
How do you pronounce that game?
Is it Gree?
Is it Gree? Is
Is
it
the
all
S silent?
fancy? I don't know. See, I've not played it, and I don't even know how to pronounce their next game. It's either Neva. I really don't know how to pronounce it, but I know it looks cool. I know it's the one this is the one where you have the like wolf thing and
Yeah.
it grows up as you play the game. It looks awesome.
It does.
It just looks good.
It
don't
looks, yes, it looks nice and relaxing. I'm going to choose to call it Neva until somebody tells me that it's not that. And
Neva
even then,
it's very romantic that way.
and even then, if they tell me I'm wrong, I will never change.
Ooh, a real groaner there. Everyone just get out your groaning bag that you groan into, that you save all your groans in.
Hope
That
y'all
one to
brought
fill
your
it up.
groaning britches.
You're going to need a new one.
All right.
So, yeah. Also, there was this Moth Cubic game. I don't remember this one. I don't know.
I don't know anything about this one. It's an experimental RPG according to their own marketing. That's all I
don't
know.
remember. I mean, I only watched this one. I watched it all through live when it was happening, but that one didn't stand out to me. That may speak to the game, but it could be awesome. I don't know. This Coffee Talk Tokyo. Did you see that? Have you seen that? That looks cool.
I have seen that. Yeah, it does look cool. Coffee Talk is nothing new. I mean, I don't know if we've ever talked about Coffee Talk, but it's like a visual novel-esque style kind of series. And I do have like Coffee Talk 2 maybe. I don't know how I got it. It was either free or maybe it was part of a Humble Bundle I picked up or something. But I think I do have 2, either on Steam or Epic. So, maybe one day I'll try it out. But I do agree the Tokyo one looks cool.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to have a lot. I mean, obviously it's going to have a lot of that Japanese, like this one seems I think all the Coffee Talk, if I'm not mistaken, don't they all kind of have a Japanese thing going on, or am I wrong about that? I've never played one. I've just like kind of seen some stuff about them.
This
one
don't know.
seems like deeply, deeply Japanese, in terms of like the culture and like all the, I don't want to say this, the setting obviously is in Tokyo. So it feels, I don't know. It's like that like Tokyo thing where it's kind of like very industrial but cozy at the same time. Like all the
Yeah.
things look, I don't know, it just looks super cool.
Kind of like Blade Runner. When I think of like a romanticized Japanese aesthetic, I think of Blade Runner because it's like back alleys that have like shops and stuff in them. There's like neon signs.
Yeah.
And there's lo-fi music, which this game does have because apparently it's got all original lo-fi tracks. So that's kind of cool.
I was just scrolling on and I saw this was the thing that really got you the most excited, which is that Sea of Stars is getting a DLC. The thing that amazes me about this is that it's going to be a free DLC. I would not have expected that. That's a move that feels just kind of crazy to me, considering the success of Sea of Stars.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. When I heard free, I was surprised. That may have already been known. I'm not sure. Like this DLC, you know, we knew DLC was coming, but I think this was the first actual look at it. And I don't know if I knew how much it was going to cost, but I knew that within reason I was going to pay it, you know.
Right.
But I will certainly pay free.
Was Sea of Stars was it one of those crowdfunded games?
Yeah, I think so.
If it was, then the DLC being free kind of makes more sense because it was probably like a stretch goal or something, part of the crowdfunding. I'm just totally assuming here, but that could have been the case.
You may be right. I'm almost positive Sea of Stars was it did have like a crowdfunding campaign. So that would make sense.
Yeah. Often the crowdfunding things tend to do that. I mean, the DLC looked cool. You know, again, I haven't played Sea of Stars. I know you loved it. It was one of your favorite games you played last year.
It was my favorite
so I'm
game
sure
I played
you were
last
excited. Oh, it was your favorite. Right, there
Yes.
you go. So I'm sure this is super exciting.
Man, I keep forgetting Tears of the Kingdom just came out last year, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Okay, well, never
It was
mind.
early in the year.
It was one of my favorite games I played last year then.
Okay, well, do you have anything specific you want to say about the DLC before we move on? I know we got a lot of stuff to go through.
Yeah, no, we've got a lot to go through, and I don't know anything specific, to be honest with you, and I kind of don't want to because I loved the game so much. I kind of just want to go in fresh. You know, the title of the DLC, Throes of the Watchmaker. I have some theories about that, but I don't really know anything other than that my body is ready.
Yeah. I mean, like, the thing that impresses me the most about Sea of Stars is the art style, whether it be the pixel art that's in the game or just the kind of general art style that the characters are represented outside of the pixel art. I think everything just looks so good. It is just one of the best. The art direction in this game is incredible.
It's the best pixel art that I have seen in a game. You know, for me, in my opinion, it's the best pixel art of a game I've played.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It looks fantastic. It really does. Well, moving on then, Power Wash Simulator is getting a Shrek. This I don't think is free. This is a paid. You get
it is paid.
Sea of Stars DLC for free, but if you want to pressure wash Shrek, you got to pay for that shiz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know, Shrek has a lot of layers, so you have a lot to wash, and
That's
it really
true.
it wouldn't make sense for them to just give it away. Obviously, you know, because power washing onions is super fun. So why would you not love power washing an ogre?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm doing the onion thing. Bail me out, thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna bail you out here. We're gonna skip past. I mean, like that. Honestly, going back to the Shrek thing, this seems so random.
It is.
Mean, like it is so weird and random. I know Power Wash Simulator had its moment of shine. I'm sure there are still people playing it. And maybe Shrek will bring them back. I kind of doubt it though. I kind of feel like Power Wash Simulator is come and gone, but maybe that's how out of touch I am.
So I think it was Nintendo Life in their breakdown of the Direct. They were talking about this. Did you watch that video?
No, I did not.
Okay, well they said like they were trying to figure out why is it so colorful? Like why are you power washing away like brightly colored paint, right?
Yeah.
And their theory was that that you aren't actually washing the paint away, you are re-adding the mud, which is clearly not true because that's not how the game works. But, you know, Shrek likes his swamp swampy, you know?
Yeah.
And that would be a great spin, I think, on the DLC for you to be not cleaning it, but dirtying it.
It's
I wish that was true.
Yeah, that would be a really funny thing, but I like you said, I don't think that's it. From the video that it showed, it didn't seem that was the case. I was kind of intrigued that it didn't look like, I know the graphics in Power Wash Simulator aren't the best. Like, I know it's not the best looking game, but I
It's
figure for
not.
something as big as like Shrek, that's like had some really detailed animations just through the films. I figured they would try to incorporate something that looked kind of equal, you know, in the game. I didn't think it looked very good, but
I didn't either.
yeah.
But I wasn't going to say that because I just think it's such a whimsical little announcement that I didn't want to crap on it. But
Right. Well,
I didn't
I
think it
don't
looked
know.
very good either.
I'm sure it fits well into the world of Power Wash Simulator. I'm sure it will, it would be kind of weird, I guess, if all of a sudden Power Wash Simulator looked a lot better just because Shrek's there now.
Yeah, well, that's true. Do we even see Shrek in this?
No, but I just like saying, Power Wash and Shrek. It's just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think we will see Shrek?
I hope we get to Power Wash Shrek all over.
Yeah. Oh, all over.
All over. Yeah.
I know what you're saying. I smell what
Yeah.
you're stepping in, Grandpa.
So next we got Morsels. This game looked cool. I need to go back and rewatch it. But it looked fun.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this. I agree. It looked kind of cool. That's about all I know.
Yeah.
Giraffe.
I really need to go back and watch this one again because I remember thinking that it looked cool and I meant to go back, did not do it. Now, one that really did hold with me is this Date Everything game. Now, I had seen stuff about this before. I assumed this was just a dating sim where you could date anybody and all kinds of things. I didn't realize that you could date everything.
You can date. I'm just reading the description here. Yeah, you can date household objects and appliances and even concepts. Engage in flirtatious, branching dialogue with these fully voiced characters as you get to know them and form meaningful relationships.
So-
oh my God, this may be what I've been looking for.
If you didn't watch the thing and you just read the things or maybe went back and watched select trailers, you may have missed the specifics of this. But basically, yeah, you can date everything, but everything is like embodied with like some sort of character. So like say you're dating the lamp, it's like a person who's kind of like dressed up as a lamp. But I don't know if you're actually dating a lamp or if you're dating just the idea of a lamp or a
Right.
person dressed as a lamp. I'm not exactly sure. The trailer didn't get into the nitty gritty of how this actually works. But it
Yeah.
is just, dating sims are on their, just on, as a whole, are kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I like that this game is just embracing it. They're full sending it. I kind of like that.
Yeah, and according to Heck, the vacuum cleaner was kind of cute.
See, there you go.
That's
If the
maybe it's got a
vacuum-
little something for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Benjamin
Oh.
said, I thought the rug was my type. Dirty and wants me to walk all over them.
Yikes.
See, maybe this game has just a little bit of the sauce. This might appeal to everybody because you can date anything. So, you're going to find something that speaks to you.
I'm starting to think it does have the sauce.
It just might. Moving on, though, one of my favorite games that I saw in this was this Peglin game. Now, I don't know if you watched anything about this Peglin game. But
No, I
it's,
haven't. I don't really know anything about this one.
Okay, so it's basically it's an RPG, but you like kind of interface with the RPG through this sort of pachinko. If you
Oh.
played Peggle,
Yeah.
it looks a lot like Peggle, but it's obviously pachinko inspired, Peggle inspired RPG, which is just so unique, super original. This game I think is already out, and it may be a Switch exclusive. I'm not. Don't quote me on it being a Switch exclusive, but this game looked super cool. One, I love Peggle, and
Yeah.
combining it with an RPG, just I don't know. It definitely appealed to me.
This looks like something that would tickle my inner gambler.
Maybe now
the
it's not the
pachinko.
pachinko. It's not the pachinko. Like it's not so much about like where it ends up. Not like that kind of pachinko. It's way more like Peggle, where you're like trying to take out little like orbs of certain colors by like hitting them and stuff. So it's
Gotcha.
way more like Peggle.
So my money is safe.
Your money is safe.
Okay.
I think. Now, it may have some sort of like, I said pachinko because that's what they said in the
That's what it says in the
in the
description right
trailer.
here.
That's what it says, but it was obviously more Peggle inspired, which I'm sure Peggle is inspired by Pachinko as well. So
Right. Well, that's
Hex
cool.
says that
I
this
need to
game
look
is
into
on
that.
Steam, so it's not a Switch exclusive.
Gotcha. Did it just come out on Steam, or has it been there and now it's coming to the Switch?
I don't. I think it just like launched. I think it was brand new.
It's legally distinct from Peggle Gang.
Yeah, legally distinct from Peggle.
Agreed.
But it did seem super cool. I mean, obviously it's way different than because it was like it's an RPG, but the way you interact with the RPG, the way you like kind of interface is through this Peggle game, which is super unique. I really like that because instead of just like it's sort of like turn-based RPG, which is just wild.
Yeah, that sounds kind of wild. I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out. I don't know. Pegglin's pretty cool.
Pegglin's pretty cool. No, you need to go back and check it out. It looks awesome.
So tell me about Wobbly Life.
Wobbly Life is not one that stuck with me too much. It looked a lot like what was the game that it reminded me of?
It's
Human
got
Fall
those,
Flat.
Yeah, it's got those silly kind of physics, right?
Yeah, it's got that, and I think that this one was this the one that was open world? Let
Yes.
me look through here.
It is.
Is it open?
It is a
Okay.
vibrant open world physics sandbox.
So that's unique. I'll give it
Yeah.
the unique for being an open world because Human Fall Flat was definitely more like stage. Like you have your stage, your level, and that's all you have. It's not big open world. So because of that, it could have something unique going on. I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, I wonder if that means that you'll have some sort of maybe not frustrating way to traverse through the world, because the games like that, the whole point of some of them, like Fall Guys specifically, is that it's hard to control, right? That leads to the fun and the silliness. So if it's an open world and I'm trying to traverse this open world and I can't control my character, I could see that frustrating me, but I'm sure they've thought about I see here there's more than 90 vehicles. So
Yeah.
I guess that's good. I don't know. Maybe I'll need to check it out. I do wobble.
Yeah. You do. You live that wobbly life already.
Heck yeah.
Next, we got Pico Park 2. This is also one of the games that really stood out to me. One of my absolute favorite games that I saw in here. This is a co-op game with up to 8 people. Now, I think the original Pico Park also has co-op and maybe up to 8 people as well. But this looked so much fun.
Yeah, it does look really fun, and I downloaded it on my Switch today. So, I think we're probably going to stream this one in our pretty near future.
Yeah. The folks over with Pico Park were kind enough to send over a few keys for us to try out the game. So I am excited to give this one a go. It was kind of funny because this is the one that really stood out to me. And then they just happened to email and say, "Hey, would you like to try it out?" And I was like, "Yes, would love to try it out." So
Absolutely. Looks like a fun stream game.
yeah. Oh yeah. And what's crazy is I had just recently bought the first Pico Park game, maybe like a month or two ago, because I was wanting to play it with Catherine, and we haven't got around to playing it yet. But I didn't expect a sequel to come out immediately, but that's just what happened. So this was a cool little surprise. And it said, what I thought was really intriguing about this is in the trailer, it showed all these different like obstacles you'd have to get over, and you have to cooperate together to do it. And it said that you could complete it with anywhere from 2 to 8 people. So you could, I guess, like having more people might help, but they're not necessary. You can play it with as few as 2 people.
Yeah, I wonder if that means that the levels kind of cater to your party size. Because through watching the trailer, it looked like some of them would be impossible without more people. But maybe they're not. Maybe they're just not. But I don't know. We'll probably find out soon, because I do want to play this one.
Yeah, I had that exact same thought. It was hard to tell.
Yeah. All right. So this next one was another one that I'm excited about. This isn't new, from this direct though. We already knew this was coming. But Shovel Knight, Shovel of Hope DX. It's just like everything Shovel Knight, the best it can be, with all in one package, some new features. It's got your online multiplayer. Shovel Knight slaps. I'm here for this.
Yeah. I think this is the same people who are who are
Mean of the
currently
Holler.
working on Mean of the Holler, right?
Yacht Club.
Yacht Club, right. And Mean of the Holler, I'm really surprised we haven't seen that game yet. The more every time I see it, I think it looks great. But
Yep.
it's been years now.
I know.
Games are taking forever to develop now. But
I know.
maybe it's just because they keep working on Shovel Knight stuff. So who
Well,
knows?
I think there's probably something to that. I mean, I remember making a short for the Gaming Geek main channel about Mina the Hollower legit like 2 years ago.
Right.
And we don't have anything new since then.
Basically, no. Yeah.
I mean, there are people who have like been able to play basically a demo of it at like conventions and stuff. But that's about it. And everybody says the same thing that you just said. Like, man, this is going to be so cool. But where is it? You know?
This little image of the titular Shovel Knight looking at the moon, it's very rare do you get a back view of Shovel Knight. And now that I see it, I see why.
He's packing, ain't he?
Bro is packing, yeah.
You know, the rumor is that they're working on a 3D Shovel Knight.
Ah, that is right. I have heard that.
And I am all for that, too. I would basically play anything Shovel Knight. I love Shovel Knight. So, like, I definitely don't want to see him go away. But at the same time, like we just said, I would love to see them do other things as well. So, Yacht Club, if you're watching, keep doing what you're doing. But give me that damn mouse.
Yeah, I know. It looks good. Now, Heck, on our Twitch chat here said, that game is hiding inside the successor to the Nintendo Switch.
Mina?
Maybe Mina? Maybe he says that, Shovel Knight here in this image, maybe he's not packing. Maybe that's the successor of the Nintendo Switch hanging out there in front of his groin.
No,
Yeah.
I think Heck was talking about Mina.
Oh, okay.
But that's certainly a spin on it, Campaw.
Maybe that's our first look at it right there.
First look
All right,
at
let's
something.
move.
First look at
So
something.
let's move on here. Europa. I do not remember this one, so I do not have anything to say about it. I don't remember what this one was.
Skip.
Skip.
I don't know anything about this one either. Based on this thumbnail, it looks cool. I'll have to go back and watch the trailer.
Let's see. Cuisinier.
Cuisineer.
Cuisinier. Again, this is one that did not stand out to me. Don't have anything to say about it.
It's a roguelite dungeon crawler with overcooked elements. That's what it seems like.
Okay. Yeah.
Fast-paced restaurant management elements. I mean,
This is
overcooked.
obviously to the point where we got to the kind of. They may have quickly gone through these things. Because again, I don't remember On Your Tail either.
What?
This is a
Y'all,
sleuthing
Cuisineer
story-driven
is cool
life
looking.
sim. Okay, maybe it's cool. Heck, here in our Twitch chat saying it's cool. Scuba Steve's joining us. What's up, Scuba Steve?
Welcome.
We're going to continue on. Again, just kind of looking through Metal Slug Tactics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel strongly about that. I have played a very small amount of Metal Slug back in the day, but that's about it.
Hey, this is going to be it's a roguelike tactical. That's cool. But now here, the Plucky Squire got shown. And of course, the Plucky Squire looks amazing. I think that comes out in September. I see it here. September 17th.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's one a lot of people are super hyped about.
Yeah. Jumping between 2D and 3D worlds, that sounds cool. I like
Have
that.
you seen much about this? It looks
No.
really good. This game is one that is definitely, it needs to be on your radar, y'all. If you have not seen it, it is really cool looking. I'm very interested to give this one a go.
It's not a Switch exclusive, is it?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think so, though. I'm pretty sure that, I think
bet it's not.
I think it's going to be on PC because I feel like I've seen it there. But yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be
I'll have to
really
check this
cool.
one out. This one looks neat. I agree. It looks and sounds neat. So I got to.
Yeah, you gotta watch some stuff about it. And then they ended the indie world with the announcement that Pizza Tower is coming to the Switch.
Yeah, Pizza Tower. That's a game neither one of us played last year, but people loved it, and I would really like to play it. I just haven't. So it's cool that it's coming to Switch.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with the game, it's kind of like in the vein of Wario Land,
Yes.
which is really cool because the Wario Lands are very unique, 2D side scroller action games, you know, Wario Land kind of broke off from Mario Land, but it's a very different game. It feels very different to play. It's like a genre all to itself.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see other games kind of take it up and do something with it, because Wario Land, they're not making Wario Land games anymore.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I'd like to try it, but it looks great. The animations in this game just look unhinged sometimes. They look so chaotic. Like, I love it. Kind of like Celeste maybe says heck. I would not, based on what I've seen, I would not compare this to Celeste.
No, not really like Celeste. It's very different. I mean, like, Wario Land is the whole like concept is you don't really take damage, and I don't know about Pizza Tower if it does this, and you may be able to tell me, Daniel.
I can't.
But in Wario Land, when Wario takes damage, he kind of just gets like thrown back. So it's very different kind of progression than a traditional like 2D platformer. And I wouldn't even really call it a platformer, even though it has platforming elements. It's kind of like a 2D action side scroller.
Yeah, and Wario Land has, its fair share of little puzzles too. So
yeah,
I wouldn't call it a straight ahead platformer either. Whereas Celeste, I certainly would. I mean, Celeste is like very Super Meat Boy-esque. It's like one of those kind of platformers. So I think this would be pretty radically different.
Is fast paced, and Celeste is definitely fast paced as well. But
yeah,
they're very different games. I love like Wario Land 4 was the first Wario Land game I played. That's on GBA. But Wario Land 1, 2, and 3 were on the Game Boy. Fantastic games. And then Wario Land, I think it was called, gosh, I can't remember what the one for Wii was called. And I think that was the last one. They did one console. They may have done one on GameCube. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't really know, honestly.
Yeah, but the one on Wii was really interesting. That was like, so I don't know. It was really fun. Time. Yeah, maybe it was. So that was the end of the indie world. But we'll move on and kind of talk about the direct partner showcase. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I thought the indie world was better than the direct partner showcase. I just want to say that in advance. That's just how I felt about it.
Oh, I agree. I mean, we can probably go through this partner showcase fairly quickly, I would guess.
Right.
I'll start. Tetris, cool.
Yeah, they announced this Tetris Forever game, which is kind of like a Tetris. It's sort of like in the vein of, if you saw that Atari 50, the 50th anniversary Atari game, where it's sort of like
it's like part documentary,
part sort of thing to celebrate a game. They're doing that with Tetris. So honestly, the Atari 50 was really, really cool. This seems sort of like that. So I think it'll be neat for fans of Tetris, because they have all different like styles of Tetris here for you to play.
Yeah.
It seemed cool. This was also the thing that we got the one Nintendo announcement, which was that something was coming to NSO, and it's that the NES version of Tetris is coming to NSO later this year.
Gotcha.
How exciting.
Well, Tetris is cool. I always enjoy Tetris when I play it in extremely short bursts, infrequent short bursts, and maybe this will be fun, but I don't feel that strongly about it. I don't know how you can.
Yeah.
But it might be cool.
Next, we got to look at the Star Overdrive game, which I didn't realize that there are a lot of people hyped for this game. Apparently, there are a lot of people excited to play this.
I don't know anything about this one either. It says you solve puzzles, you fight formidable enemies, and wield the powers of the Keytar. Okay, you got me. You got me at Keytar.
You hooked him at Keytar.
Okay.
It
Star
looks
Overdrive.
to me like,
I'm on the hype train.
Yeah. It looks to me like a kind of, I don't know. This is just, I've only seen the trailer. To me, it just kind of looked like a fairly generic open world action game.
You couldn't be more wrong. Couldn't be more wrong.
With a Keytar.
In this game, you'll need every ounce of creativity you can muster to overcome challenges and grow your Keytar-based powers. Name me one other game you've ever grown
There's
a single
no other game. So I will
Keytar-based
say,
power.
it by definition cannot be generic if one of the key things that you do is have keytar based powers.
You're damn right.
I'll admit it. I'll admit it.
All right, let's get serious here.
Okay.
With Goat Simulator 3 for Dale coming to the Switch.
This is cool. Honestly, the footage looked better than I expected it to. It didn't look, like sometimes you see a Switch port and you're like, yeah, it looks like a Switch port. Think of like,
Funko Land, whatever.
That's a great example. That's a great example where the Switch port looks way worse. The Goat Simulator 3 footage looked pretty good. It looked pretty similar to what I've seen of just Goat Simulator 3. So, I don't know. Impressive port, unless we find out that they weren't showing Switch footage, in which case I'll be disappointed.
Oh, that'd be so dirty, too. I mean, I would say this game has potential to be maybe the greatest of all time in the crazy physics-based simulator genre.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't played
GOAT,
it, but
if you will.
Oh, I was like, hey, I don't know, man. I don't have a horse in this race, and I really. Then it all comes down to the fact that you're just making a goat joke.
I could tell that you were going into like, I hesitate to call it this, but I don't have a better name for it. You were like going into damage control.
I was like, I don't know, man.
You were like, Daniel just made an extremely hot take. He just made a crazy claim about a game he's definitely never played, and I'm just going to downplay it so that, when we look back on this, at least I'm on the right side of history. Yeah, I was just making a damn goat joke, Grandpa.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. Okay, let's move on.
Was that it? Oh wait, no. We got
one. That was not. Yeah, man, that was the partner showcase.
Oh God, there's a lot more. Okay, my bad. We're gonna have to speed this up, Randy.
Yeah, I know. We got to move through. I mean, there is all kinds of stuff. There were other things. I'm just gonna skip through. Star Wars Hunters getting season 3. Stalker.
SpongeBob SquarePants, the Patrick Star game.
More Disney Dreamlight Valley stuff. Actually, I do want to pause and talk about the Patrick Star game because, I'm telling you.
Tell me.
Although SpongeBob wasn't a huge part of my childhood, SpongeBob was a little bit like I can't remember what year SpongeBob came out. I feel like it was at that time where I was like still watching cartoons, so I definitely remember SpongeBob.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. I had a brother I still have a brother, who's like 11, 12 years younger than me. And I was watching cartoons well after because he grew up with cartoons. So I've seen so much SpongeBob, and I have a really soft spot in my heart for SpongeBob. And a Patrick Star game, Patrick needs a game. I'm glad Patrick's getting a game.
Yeah. Well, unlike Grandpa, I'm not going to hide behind the fact that I had some sort of brother, and that's why I watched SpongeBob. I watched the hell out of SpongeBob because it was quality entertainment. Now, did SpongeBob? It came about and began its rise about the time that we were kind of getting to the age where we probably weren't as interested in cartoons. You are right about that.
Yeah.
I remember that distinctly because, we grew up with like the early 90s Nickelodeon stuff, the Rugrats and the Hey Arnold and the Angry Beavers and stuff like that. SpongeBob came about in like the next wave.
Yeah.
And I was kind of getting out of cartoons, but I still watched SpongeBob. Like it was like a holdover. And I've never played a SpongeBob game, but I love SpongeBob. And I'm an only child. And I don't give a damn.
SpongeBob is so funny. That show is so funny. I think it would be a great show to go back and rewatch. I bet I would get a lot of laughs out of that. But I feel like it's one of those shows that has a lot of references that are for the adults watching.
It does.
And I'm sure I would get so many more of those now.
Yeah, 100% you would. Like, I agree. SpongeBob would be a great rewatch.
We had a comment here come through from Benjamin. We kind of skipped over it earlier. It says, the Trails in the Sky 1 remake announcement made my heart swoon. It's one of my top 5 JRPGs, the highlight for me. And we skipped right past that earlier. But it's good to know it was excited. It's good to know that someone was excited about it.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure it's awesome.
And Hex wondering when Sea of Thieves is going to get SpongeBob Tall Tales. I mean, I could see it.
I would say they probably do have that planned, and I would say it's probably coming after they fix hit reg.
Yeah.
So never.
Oh,
they're never going to get to it.
I lied. Nintendo did have something because they announced Fitness Boxing 3, and I'm fairly positive that although this is a not developed by Nintendo, I'm pretty positive that it's published by Nintendo. So this is technically a Nintendo game.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad that we righted that wrong.
I can't believe there's been 3 of these games on Switch.
You know, I didn't play the first 2, but maybe I'll check out Fitness Boxing 3 for Dale, your personal trainer.
It made a big deal about being able to customize your trainer and stuff.
Is that right?
Now, the Capcom Fighting Collection 2, this one made big waves because it wasn't even that long ago that the Capcom Fighting Collection #1 was announced, and it made big waves, and now there's 2 coming along. People are super excited about this.
Wait, this is the second one?
Yeah, this is number 2.
Wait, this is different.
This is different. Yes, it's got all completely different set of games.
Whoa. Yeah, the Fighting Collection 1 is like new.
Yeah, it's new.
So what do we have here? Capcom vs. SNK 2, Mark of the Millennium 2001, Power Stone, Power Stone 2, Plasma Sword, Nightmare of Bilstein, and more. Okay, so this one, I guess the big marquee game is Capcom vs. SNK 2.
I don't really know as not being, I'm not a huge fighting game fan. I know that for a fact, these games are a little more obscure, but maybe there are some more like cult classics or some like games that have not been re-released ever, potentially. So that's exciting, I'm sure, for a lot of people.
Fighting Collection 1 made huge waves because it brought Marvel vs. Capcom, what is it, 3? I think it was Marvel 3. Back with like modern online net play for the first time maybe ever, or at least in a very long time. So like that one was huge for the fighting game community. I don't know if this one is as big a deal. Honestly, I don't know.
It didn't seem to make as big of waves as the first one, but it's still, people seem pretty excited about it.
Yeah, well, good for them. That's awesome.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll be getting give us a month or two. We might be getting Capcom Fighting Collection #3 with even more obscure. Capcom's got so many fighting games; it's ridiculous.
They have so many, and then these collections. I don't think they're all classic fighting games. I think they're also beat 'em ups. I know that Fighting Collection 1 brought in the Punisher beat 'em up. So they're working those in as well. But you're right; they've got a ton of fighting games. They've just got a ton of IP in general, which leads me to my next question. When are we getting a damn new Mega Man game? But that's neither here nor there.
They talked about wanting to do more Mega Man not too long ago, so it could happen.
I would like that.
So moving on here, we have Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. More. This is, again, this is all, I mean, it's still, this is it.
Marvel Superheroes. That's like the game that predated Marvel vs. Capcom, I think. X-Men vs. Street Fighter, that's another one. Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Oh, wait. This is the first one, Randy.
Is this the first one? Okay.
Yeah, this is just the first one. Okay, so this one's coming out the 12th of September, and the next one is the 2025. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so there you go. So they just reiterated what was already there. See, that tells you how, little I know about these fighting games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is just the first one, but that one's a big deal.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got next?
Now, I don't know how to pronounce this. Atelier Yumia. I don't know, man. The Alchemist of Memories and the Envisioned Land. I remember that the trailer for this was kind of cool. But I don't remember much about it.
Mm-hmm. I don't really know much about this. Do we want to go back into gloss through mode until something catches us?
Yeah, we probably. We got Suikoden 1 and 2 HD, which is cool. This is like HD 2D.
Okay.
Sort of looking. I don't know that it's technically HD 2D, but it looks like HD 2D.
It does, and that's cool. But I don't know these games. But I do know Dragon Quest 3. They're talking about the HD 2D remake for that coming out on the 14th of November. I know that one is highly anticipated for a lot of people.
Right. So we're getting 3 and then 1 and 2 later. And the reason they're doing that is it seems a little weird to go 3 first, but from what I understand, 3 is actually it's like a prequel. So it takes place before 1 and 2.
Yes, you're correct. And I think 3 is also maybe the biggest one out of those, so I think they're kind of front loading a little bit.
It very well could be. I'm not sure.
We got this Castlevania Dominus collection.
So these are some DS games, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we get many like DS games, period.
We don't. And that's super cool. Castlevania's got 1 million games for like every platform. And, you know, between this and the Castlevania Advance collection and probably some stuff on NSO, if I had to guess, you can play so much Castlevania on the Switch. But you still can't play Symphony of the Night.
It's a shame.
Yeah, and that's the big one.
I don't know that
one.
I've ever... I kind of feel like I have played a little bit of a Castlevania game, maybe on Super Nintendo, where there's some Castlevanias on Super Nintendo.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Okay, I feel like I may have played one a long time ago, but I just haven't really tried these games. But I know that this is exciting because I don't know that these games, obviously, I doubt, being DS games, they probably have not been re-released in any way. So that's exciting.
Yeah, are they just straight up re-released? They're not like, it's not like a remaster or anything?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think that
I don't think it is. I just read through the description. I think it's just a straight re-release.
Okay.
They probably tweaked them enough because the DS has 2 screens and the Switch doesn't. So they've probably somehow made that work.
You have to tweak it a little bit. Next is Sid Meier's Civ 7. This game looks cool. It looks like they're shaking up the Civ formula a little bit. I haven't played a Civ game in a very long time, and I've really only ever tried the first one. I didn't much care for it, but I'm sure the first one's not a very good representation of the series in general. So I need to try some of the new ones. I don't know. It seems like this one seems a little different, though.
Yeah, I have never played a Civilization game. I'm sure they're great, and that's all I know.
Yeah.
Never played it.
Tales of Grace's F remastered. I don't know what this is. I have no clue. That one was not.
It's an
something
RPG.
I'm familiar with. There you go.
Benjamin says that it's another solid JRPG, and this showcase has a lot of his type of games. So maybe these are good.
Yeah, very well. Could be. My Sims is getting the Cozy Bundle.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've been waiting on the Cozy Bundle.
Five Nights at Freddy's, Help Wanted 2, and then Security Breach. But Help Wanted 2, I know that's like, I think that one's new, right? A new announcement.
I'm going to have to take your word on this because I'm just not that familiar with the Five Nights at Freddy's series. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, man. I really haven't. I don't know much about them myself. So
I think it is new. Yeah.
They're still going, though. We got another look at Disney Epic Mickey Rebrush, which that game looks so cool. I really want to try that one. This is Epic Mickey is one that ever since, I think it was back on Wii or something, I remember thinking that game looked cool. I never got to play it. I really want to go back. This is my time to go try it.
This is your time in general, dude. That's what I've been trying to tell you. I've been trying to tell you, this is your time.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got another look at Tales of the Shire, which is that cozy Lord of the Rings game.
Now listen, Randy, cozy means a lot of things to different people. Don't just be throwing that around. And also, I don't really care about this game at all. I love Lord of the Rings. You don't want to play
like a farming sim in Lord of the Rings?
I don't at all. Not even a little bit. I'm just, who does? I don't know. I'll stop saying mean things about it. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. I'm just going to move through some of the things. Just Dance 2025.
Yes,
Funko Fusion. Funko Fusion, I think,
sorry.
could be... Funko Fusion is a game by the Lego people. Some of the people who develop Lego games are developing this. I don't think it's actually by the Lego people, but maybe some of the people who did work on it. So
You just glossed
I
right
don't know.
over Just Dance, by the way, but that's cool.
I mentioned Just Dance.
I know, but you didn't like give it the weight it deserved.
Nah. Uh, EA Sports
keep
FC
moving.
25. We get a soccer game or football, however you want to say it. Um,
Yeah, we
Lego
do.
Horizon Adventures. We got another look at that. 'Cause it was real
That's-
quick.
Yeah, that
I'm
seems
excited
cool
about
enough.
that one, to be honest with you. I'm super excited about Lego Horizon Adventures.
I still think
then-
that I'm going to revisit that Star Wars Skywalker saga at some point, as far
Yeah.
as Lego games go.
Well, you might enjoy it. I personally really like the Lego games, and I like the Horizon games. So put them together. I'm excited. And then let's see, Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma. I don't really know much about Rune Factory, but I'm sure people are excited.
Yeah, I don't know much about this one either. I know a little bit more about Yakuza, which is next up.
Yeah, Yakuza Kiwami. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be coming out on Switch. So that's cool.
This is cool because Yakuza hasn't been on a Nintendo system. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think there was back on the Wii U, there was a Yakuza collection, I think, that came to Wii U, and of course, it sold poorly because it was on Wii U.
Right.
And I don't know that a Yakuza game has come to Switch since, or come to Nintendo systems since. So this is exciting.
Yeah, I don't think it has. And, Yakuza seems to be eating pretty well right now with the whole Like a Dragon
Definitely.
and the sequel to that, Infinite Wealth and all that. So this is cool.
Yeah, like the Like a Dragon series now is, it's doing really well. So many games are coming out. It's hard to keep track of them as a person who doesn't play them, but it's cool that it's just neat to see Yakuza on Switch.
It is.
And that was the end of it. So I know it took us a while to go through, but it was 40 minutes worth of stuff. So we did put out a poll asking people what they thought, like to give a grade to this.
We sure did.
And,
so we said give Nintendo's Indie World and Partner Showcase a grade, and at 7% people said A. At 60% people said we'll give this damn thing a B. At 21% people said C. And 12% said this is an F, they failed me.
Yeah. Now, to me, this is a pretty unified consensus that it was a B. It's not a consensus I personally agree with. I think I would lean a little bit more towards C. Not that there weren't some cool stuff, but I think when you take it all together, I don't know. I think it depends on what you're looking for. Like what kind of games do you like? Certain people, it definitely is obviously going to be a B.
Yes, and I'll tell you, I think this hits harder for people who maybe only have a Switch, or at least that's what they play on more, right? Like I play so much on Steam now, and a lot of these games were already there. Or they were like with the Shovel Knight stuff, it's like a game I already knew about and it's not out in general. So I'm just seeing a look at it, I would agree. I would give this like a C plus, maybe a B minus.
That's fair. Like here in our Twitch chat, we got Benjamin saying an A for me. It all depends on what kind of games you wanted. Like, how excited were you? If there was like a particular release that like really stood out to you and was like, yep, that was so big for me that it was personally an A. There just wasn't one of those for me. And, like as a Nintendo fanboy, the fact that there really wasn't anything that was like first party Nintendo, it's hard for me to be too excited about it. And that's just being honest.
Yeah, but how are you going to, I think Heck said this earlier, how are you going to come into a partner showcase and be mad you didn't see first party Nintendo? I don't think that's fair.
Right. I guess you're right. If I kind of label it as like, it's hard for me to not do it though, because it has direct in the title. If it didn't have direct in the title, maybe I would feel different. I don't know. I can't help the way I feel about it,
Yeah, but you're not looking at it fairly. If you're saying this didn't have any Nintendo games, so this is a C, like that's not
true.
They didn't tell you it was going to have Nintendo games. They said it was going to be partner games and indie games.
Yeah, I know. I went into it with disappointment and came out of it being like, yep, that's what I expected. So maybe if I give it a grade based on what my expectations, it was an A.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's better, Randy. You ready to go into our first comment here?
Yeah, let's see here.
Okay, so we got a comment here from Plague Doctor 6623 who said, "So many games I actually want to play this time. On these kinds of things, there's usually just one or two at most, but they showed Dragon Quest, Pico Park 2, I don't know how to say this.
That's the game I didn't know either, yeah.
Okay, cool. That game, Neva, and a few more I want to check out. Loved it for the most part."
And you know what? In a way, I also agree because there were definitely a few games that I 100% want to play. Another one like Pico Park 2, like that's one I really want to play. So I don't know. Maybe I was being too hard on it. And maybe I just I can't get just a regular. If it was a regular Nintendo Direct, I think I'd be very disappointed. But you're right. I got to label it. It's not a regular Nintendo Direct, so I can't judge it by that.
Yeah, and we're going to get to a comment in 2 comments here that sums up how I really feel. But again,
Right, okay.
I don't think it's quite fair. So let's go to our second comment, which again is not the one I just referenced. Hit us with this one, Game Paw.
Yeah, this is from Gollum Play 64, who said, "Pizza Tower alone made my day. I've never made a faster digital purchase." And that just shows, one Pizza Tower I know is super exciting. And like you said, if you only have a Switch, this is super great because now you're like, that Pizza Tower game I've been wanting to play, now I can play it.
Absolutely. I mean, the Switch was such a great indie game machine. It still is.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
So if there's an indie game like this that was making waves that you haven't been able to play and now all of a sudden it's coming to Switch, I totally understand that. Gollum Play.
Yeah, and I think Pizza Tower specifically was one of those games that I think it was a little bit of a surprise success. I think that's why we haven't seen a Switch port already, because I always wonder, when big games come out, bigger indie games, I expect them to have a Switch port early on because, but obviously if you didn't know your game was going to be big, what are you going to do? You're putting it on Steam. It's going to be on PC. And then once it gets big, you're like, oh, now I need to work on porting this to some consoles.
Yeah.
And that's later on when it happens.
Classic example, Vampire Survivors just came to PlayStation.
Yeah.
Just did it. And that game has been a massive indie success for quite some time now. It's not exactly new anymore. All right.
I was reading an article about Vampire Survivors in the now dead Game Informer magazine. They did in their very last issue. They had a big multi-page spread about the making of Vampire Survivors. Super cool to read. Very fun. The reason that it looks like Castlevania is because the guy took kind of royalty-free Castlevania-inspired art packs and used that because that was just what was available. I love stuff like that. It just kind of hodgepodged it together and it became this huge thing. It's just crazy.
That's awesome. I have that issue, by the way. It's my only issue, I guess, that I will ever have of Game Informer.
Yes.
And I have not opened it yet, but it is waiting for me in a certain location in my house.
Not near the toilet, right? Somewhere else.
And eventually I will open it and read it. We ready for comment number 3 here?
Yeah.
All right. So this one is from Mega Star Wars Rocks. Or is it Mega Star Wars Rocks? Anyway, who said, "No Switch 2 announcement. Frowny, mad frowny emojis." For one, what the hell are you talking about? There's no such thing as a Switch 2. And second of all, I completely agree. Obviously, that's all anyone wants right now from Nintendo. And anytime they put anything on the internet that doesn't give it to me makes me sad. But it would be unfair to hold it against them.
Yeah. And Nintendo knows that that's what people are looking for. They want Switch 2. That's what they want. And they say every time they put out anything, even for this, when it was Partner Showcase in Indie World, they were like, by the way, there'll be no news about the upcoming console.
Yep.
Because they know that's all people are going to be asking about.
Yeah. And it doesn't make me any less sad, but you're right. They did. And the fact that they put that disclaimer out is probably the only reason I didn't take off work to watch this.
That being said, though, I do think that we are getting close. I think that we could potentially see whatever's next from Nintendo. It could be September, honestly. I think we're in the month where it finally would kind of make sense,
Mm-hmm. I've been telling friends that ask about it basically all year. Like, oh, I think it'll be, in the fall, September, October, November, something like that. So I agree. I think we're entering like that zone when it's reasonable. It's finally like reasonable to think it's coming,
Yep.
and that's why I haven't slept in days.
Any day, honestly, any day now we could get a tweet from Nintendo saying, "Tune in tomorrow for, the reveal of the next Nintendo system," and it could come at any moment. It's wild times. Well, Daniel, I know we've eaten up a lot of time talking about this dual directs from Nintendo. Are you ready to move on? We have 2 more topics we got to get through on this podcast, so we need to move on, huh?
Okay, yes, we need to move on, but not quite yet. Because if you're not watching this live on Twitch, which some people are, and you're watching in YouTube land or you're listening in Spotify land or whatever, you need to be following us on Twitch. Okay, we stream on Twitch every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. That's what we're doing right now. Sunday night, live podcast. You could be here. Go throw us a follow, please and thank you.
Yes, and Daniel forgot to mention that the link to the Twitch channel is in the description of this podcast.
I didn't
wherever
forget
you
to
are
mention
listening to it.
I didn't forget. I just don't want a follower who's not willing to work for it.
You got to be willing to work for it. You heard it, okay?
Oh, I'm just kidding. I forgot. All right, so Randy, Concord, man, that one wasn't even on purpose. Concord came out. You could go as far, if you really wanted, to say as it launched. I just don't know how
think it
far
got
off
off
the
the
ground it
launching
got.
pad. Yeah, I don't think it got very far off.
Yeah, so I have some stats. You want to hear some stats, Randy?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So when I was writing the outline, I decided to check SteamDB and get like up to the minute statistics here. So at the time of writing this, which was about 5 hours ago,
Okay.
there were 111 people playing it concurrently on Steam.
Right.
The past 24-hour peak was higher at 125 people.
Still, you caught it. If you caught it at 111, you caught it at a hot time.
I did, and I knew
real
that.
hot.
I caught it at a peak hour, I'm sure. And the all-time peak is 697 players.
That is abysmal for
That
a
is-
PlayStation game.
That is shitty.
That is horrible. This is going to go down in history as being one of the biggest flops of all time. It is wild. And this being this is not the first live service game that Sony has tried to put out that flopped. We had Destruction All-Stars that didn't do too hot.
Yeah.
But this is like next level.
It is. It is some next level failure right here.
No one is playing Concord. And what's crazy is that from all the reviews I have heard, it's not even that Concord is a bad game. I think a lot of people think that it's kind of fun to play.
Yeah.
That there are some things about it that are good. The problem is that this is the definition of no one was asking for this. This is like the perfect game to embody that.
Yeah. The article that I read when I was making the outline mentioned that this might have been right at home in like 2017. Some sort of online multiplayer hero shooter that wasn't free. This is a $40 game. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, this game just didn't have a place.
Nope. It didn't have, well, you got to think the game took 8 years to develop. 8 years ago, you're right. It maybe would have been popular.
Yeah.
When you chase a trend, now the game development takes so long, you can't just chase a trend and expect your game to be successful. It just does not work.
No, it doesn't. And we got a live comment here from 12 Falcon Punch, who's a game developer. And he says, my favorite comment I heard on Concord is that the characters look like they belong on late 2000s graphics card box cover.
That is fantastic.
They do look a little dated. They also look, to me, that I feel like they're clearly like Guardian of the Galaxy inspired. Maybe I'm just crazy.
Definitely. 100%. Yeah.
But like not in a good way. It's like
Yeah.
It's like we have Guardians of the Galaxy at home. You know, that kind
The
of thing.
color palette for this game is wild looking. Very bright, unusual colors that don't necessarily go together. But I don't even think that that's a big problem. Like, it's just quirky looking. It looks, I wouldn't say good, but, they the choice was made.
A choice was made. Choices were made. Let's be real.
Choices were definitely made. But, so, I mean, obviously Concord has flopped hard. One, no one was asking for it. They're chasing a trend that's 8 years old. Sony made a very bad decision to buy, was it Firewalk Studios or whatever the name of the studio that made this. And now it's like, it just didn't work. And one of the questions I've had is like, would this game have done better if instead of going for the premium price point, a $40 game, what if they had put it out as a free-to-play game? Would it have done better?
Well, Randy, you don't have to answer that question on your own because we ran a poll on this, and we asked the Gaming Gig faithful, would Concord be more successful as a free-to-play game? And at 61%, people said, yes, I think so. And at 39%, people said, no, I don't think so. And, Randy, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, this doesn't surprise me at all because making any sort of change damn near can't hurt it.
Yeah, I mean, but even then, more people think that it would help for it to go free to play. But it's not like everybody thinks that. I think a lot of people who say, no, I don't think so, are like, this game was just doomed. Like, it doesn't matter if it had been free or if it was $40. This game was going to fail no matter what. And that's possibly the truth.
Yeah.
But to me, a live service game, I almost feel like very few live service games can get away with the premium price point. Very few.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was $40. This wasn't like, high price point.
But for a live service game, that's premium.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah. Well, that's a sought price, Mm-hmm. And this might not exactly be sought quality.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves is one of the very few games that can do it. Sea of Thieves has done it. Helldivers 2 did it. There are other games that have done it, but a lot of the games that do it have a single-player campaign alongside some sort of live service element. Think about we got Call of Duty coming up. That's going to be a big live service game, but it also has, single-player a campaign attached to it.
Right.
And it's charging a premium price. But a game that's purely live service.
Call of Duty also has an extremely established brand.
Yeah, it's not a new IP like Concord over here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to jump into a comment here, Randy?
Yeah. We got our first comment on this was from Sleary Rose, who is a longtime viewer and commenter on the podcast here, who said, absolutely. I still doubt it would have been a huge success, but launching as a $40 product was certainly a barrier to entry that did not help it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Like, doubt it would have been a huge success, but it almost certainly would have to help if it was free. Like, I'm thinking at least 112 people would have been playing this when I made this outline.
Yeah, at least one more person be playing it. I mean, it would have definitely helped. I just don't know, man. I don't know how much, again, I 100% agree. I don't know how much it would have helped. I don't know that it would have made it successful in any way, but I feel so bad for the developers who spent 8 hard years. It's not easy to make video games. 8 years working on this. Your game comes out. You don't get to feel good about it because it's going to go down as being potentially the biggest flop of all time.
I feel bad for them.
Sucks.
And I also feel bad for the one person who played this game and got so hooked and they were like, this is going to be my game, man. Like, this is where I'm going to spend my time. I'm about to be the world's best Concord player. And you know what? They might be. They might be the world's best.
They're not going to have to work very hard to be the best. They're only going to, you've got to be the best out of 100. Man. But no, it really is a bummer.
It is. It is. But we all saw this coming.
Oh, yeah. Everybody, this is not a surprise. I think the only people that didn't see this coming was Sony, and I don't know how they didn't see this coming.
They must have been watching everybody's videos on mute.
Yeah, they saw this game and bought the studio because they were so impressed with it. I don't know what. I mean, they probably were like, oh, it's like Overwatch. We could use an Overwatch.
Yeah. Yeah.
That had to be it, right? Like that was the whole thing. It seems like totally like an executive being like, "Yep, this is what we need right here."
Probably so. And it also seems like an executive saying, "Oh, nope, we're going to charge $40 for this." Like,
Yeah.
it just seems like, because like you said, people say the game's not bad, so so the devs maybe did their job just fine. And then, maybe we got some Sony bigwigs who, decided that they needed more money. I don't know.
Maybe it was free to play the entire. And I know that like free to play has a slightly different price structure and like how it makes money. And I know that microtransactions have to be way more upfront in a free to play game compared to a $40 game where they can be a little more tucked in the back, like Sea of Thieves, like Helldivers, where it's not such a big deal. But I don't know. It just feels like they really messed up with this one.
It does. It also feels like we have another comment here from Isaac Pitt Gill, who said, if it started as free to play, it might have had more of a chance. The first introduction is very important, and even if it did go free to play now, people will more than likely have moved on. Yeah, I mean, the moment's gone. I agree.
Yeah, they're doing this with Sony's doing this with Foam Stars.
They are. You're right.
They're moving it to free to play because they tried to do it and I think it was only like a $20 game. I don't even think it was $40.
And I think they gave it away maybe initially as well. Wasn't it part of like PlayStation Plus?
Yep. When it first launched, it was a free game for PlayStation Plus Essential. Anyone who had PlayStation Plus basically to claim for free. And I claimed it, never played it because
same.
As Foam Stars. Again, no one was asking for it. And it's like they were chasing a trend. It was like they saw Splatoon and were like, all right, let's make a game like Splatoon.
Right.
It just seems like Sony, obviously, no one's asking for this, but also no one's asking for this from Sony, more specifically.
Right. People always praise Sony for their like approach, with their cinematic storytelling single-player games. And everybody likes that about Sony. So I agree. It's just a weird decision. It's a weird direction to continually try to go in. But is it? Because Fortnite makes a hell of a lot of money.
Right. And that's the thing is like, if you get the one game that is successful, it's worth all these flops. Like it's going to make more money than all these games flopped combined,
Yeah.
So it might be worth it. I mean, Helldivers 2, is a great example of that. I mean, who knows how much money that game's made?
Quite a bit, I would say.
Quite a bit.
I'm really interested to see how that game shakes out post Game Awards. That's kind of what I'm excited to see.
Yeah,
I think the Game Awards are going to be interesting this year.
Yeah, because it's been a weird year. Like it's going to be all underdogs because there's been no big game come out that was like the obvious, like this is the game of the year. It hasn't happened.
I tell you, I am rooting hard for Animal Well. That's
my indie game of the year, no doubt. It's going to be hard. Anytime there's a year with a Zelda game, it's going to be tough, and that game hasn't come out yet. I haven't played it yet, but historically, I love a Zelda game so much, so
yeah,
it's hard to say.
Well,
but Animal Well loved it.
Animal Well was phenomenal, so that's going to be interesting. And it ain't a shoe-in for Indie Game of the Year because you've also got things like Balatro. So it's going to be interesting. And all they're going to do is throw away the indie game category and like in a rundown of smaller awards, and it's going to make me sad. All right, we got a last comment here from Mr. Tajtuz. Hit us with that, Randy.
Yeah, Mr. Tajta says, even the free beta didn't have much players, so I don't think so. And this is a great point because you could have played this game for free, and no one did it. Like, it had a couple thousand people play it when it was free beta. So that may have been all we saw when the game released full. It may have been a little more. We may have seen 5,000 people play it. That's not enough to support a live service game.
No, it's not.
And 100 is not even close. I don't even know how.
111. That's pretty
being
close.
Being the developer and having to keep working on they have a season they have to deliver. They're putting out weekly really high quality animations and these like cinematic movies basically they're putting out every week to continue the story because the story's told over weeks. It's not all at once.
That's the saddest thing I've
Imagine
ever heard.
having to put these things together and release them knowing that right now, this when the game is at its hottest, there's 100 people playing it.
Randy, that is the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so what if they pull the plug on it? Because then everybody's going to be like, well, they need to give everybody back their money, I guess. If they did that and they refunded everybody who bought the game, that would be like the only way to come out of this. Because if they just pull the plug on it and they're like, we can't support this, guys, I'm sorry. Then everybody who bought it's like, screw you, you know? But then if they keep supporting this, like what's the goal?
They have to support it. I think they have to support it
too.
through the first season, which they've already committed to. I think they have to fulfill their commitments. It doesn't matter if only, if in a couple weeks, if only 50 people, are playing it at a time. Although I don't think that, here's the thing, we can't go, we got to pump the brakes. We're looking at Steam numbers. Odds are there are more people playing it on PlayStation than there are Steam. Like, very likely. So there's going to be more than 100 people playing at a time.
I would say easily 3 times as many.
Easily. And I think the game is also on Epic. So there's probably at least 3 or 4 people playing it on the Epic Game Store as well.
Okay. So maybe we're looking at more like 500 to 600 people playing the game.
It's still not even close to what it takes to
Well, no kidding, Grandpa.
keep it going. It's not even close.
I know that. And I'll tell you what I'm worried about, Randy, because I am interested in Concord. What I'm worried is that my measly little PlayStation 5 base model ain't going to run this hell of BA game. So I think we probably need to move on into our last topic here, but not before you tell the people about our Discord.
Right, guys. So we have this Discord server, and we would love for you to join. It's a great place where we just talk video games. We post these polls, and we have comments and conversations just on the Discord channel with me and Daniel, but also all the members of our Discord channel where we talk about these kinds of things. Lots of people post, when any exciting gaming news comes up, we're always talking about over there. It's just a fun place to hang out with like-minded people who just like to talk about video games. And we'd love for you to join. Of course, it's absolutely free to join the Discord server, and there is an invite link in the description of this podcast wherever you are watching it or listening to it.
That's right. So, the cat's out of the bag, Randy. PS5 Pro, it's coming, boy.
Yeah, I mean, we got I'm going to say a leak of the design. Basically, a fairly, reliable leaker got a hold of a photo of the box that the PS5 Pro is. It's apparently called the PS5 Pro. They know what it's going to look like. They wanted to share what it was going to look like, but they didn't want to just post the image because they knew that it would be struck down by Sony. So instead, they kind of drew a sketch and put a sketch out of what the PS5 Pro looks like. Spoiler, it pretty much looks exactly like PS5 with some extra lines on the side.
Yeah, so not true. It is actually more similar to the PS5 Slim, but it's a little thicker, so it's like the PS5 kind of slim. And those 3 black stripes you're talking about, that's how everybody who walks in your living room knows you have a PS5 Pro, not one of these plebeian base models. Okay?
Yeah.
So pump the brakes. Watch what you say. This design is fresh. Okay? This is fresh.
Yeah. I mean, like, we've already done a whole podcast where we talked about the PS5 Pro and how it was a dumb idea because really, and because no one is even hardly utilizing the full power of the PS5 to begin with.
Yeah.
Why do we need a PS5 Pro? Look, I mean, like, I don't know. What even is this PS5 Pro going to offer us, Daniel?
Well, I'll tell you what it's most likely not going to offer you, and that is a disk drive. Maybe it's one of these external disk drive kind of situations, or maybe there's a disk drive model. We just haven't seen it yet. We don't know.
I have some words on that. We'll talk about that more in a little bit.
Okay, good. Well, not only that, Randy, but you're getting a spec bump. Okay, bro? You're getting more teraflops and shit. Okay? A lot more teraflops.
I mean,
I don't know what that means.
Here's the thing that we've talked about a couple times. It's like we need a reason to want to get a PS5 Pro. Consumers need a reason. And I don't know what you can really offer that is going to make it worth upgrading. I could see potentially if you don't have a PS5 being like, I think I'll go for the Pro.
Definitely.
But upgrading, we need like a reason. And right now, they can't, like it wasn't like the jump from 1080 to 4K. That's been done.
Yeah.
It's not going to be 8K. There's not even 8K TVs out there hardly. I mean, there are, but literally no one owns one. So, they can't go, it can't be a resolution bump. I think that the obsession over ray tracing has largely died down. People realize it's not as cool as we maybe originally thought.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool, but like, it's not that cool. What can they give us besides FPS? I think frames per second is the only thing they can do to try to convince people. And I'm not sure that's that convincing to anyone other than people who are already diehard gamers.
Yeah, I mean, I think FPS is probably what you're going to see if your monitor will do it. According to the leaker, the rendering is around 45% faster. So that's cool. Obviously it's got a little beefier processing power. I think the rumor said that the CPU was getting quite a bump and the GPU was the same. I think that's what I read in the article.
CPU is getting a bump, GPU is staying the exact same.
I think is what I read.
Could it be that the CPU is going to be leveraging some sort of AI stuff? Like, is it going to be doing some AI upscaling to be able to get faster frame rates?
Maybe. I would have said like, oh, well, maybe there's some games out there that are hitting like a bottleneck in the CPU, and this is going to like open the floodgates. But like you said, we don't even really have games that seem to be pushing to PS5.
I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is a game that I tend to remember people saying that it bottlenecks at the CPU side.
Okay.
Because there's just a lot of like calculations that are having to be done behind the scenes in terms of like a bunch of keeping track of where all the NPCs are at, like all that kind of stuff. So there may be some games that would benefit from a beefier CPU, but
okay.
From what I understand, like FPS and stuff, that's going to be all graphics rendering. That's going to be mostly done by the GPU. I'm not a techie person. I don't know. I'm going to be very interested to see how Sony markets this, what they push as being the big feature to make you want to get a PS5 Pro.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. I don't know how they get me, if I'm being honest. I don't know what they can say that will get me. What are they going to get you? Are you just going to try to get it?
You know that I'm a stuffed goblin, and
yeah.
I love to get stuff. It really just comes down to like where it stands right now. What I imagine the PS5 Pro being in my mind, if it really is just minor upgrades, I don't know how they get me, especially since I have a PC that can run stuff at way more than what this PS5 Pro is going to be able to do.
Yeah, I don't.
That's where
I just don't see. I don't see me getting one of these, but
yeah,
maybe one day my PS5 dies.
Yeah.
Then
we have we have a live comment here from Benjamin Darling, who said, I've run credits on about 70 games on my mountain size original PS5. We're creating great memories together. I'll be riding with the OG until a PS6 drops. Hey, that's me and Daniel both got the OG big PlayStation 5. I think it's big.
It is big. It's big and it's curvy, and it does stuff.
But let's look at the poll. I mean, we put out a poll asking people, now that the design for the PS5 Pro is leaked, are you interested in buying a PS5 Pro?
Yes.
And 11% of people said yes. 65% of people said no. And then 24% said it depends on the price.
Yeah, so this doesn't surprise me. Most people said no. I mean, but Sony hasn't even officially announced this thing yet. Maybe they announce it, and like you said, their marketing is just off the chain, and they say the magic words, and this poll flips, man.
I don't know what the magic words are. I'm really concerned that the magic
Those are the
words
magic
that they're going to
words.
go into is going to be AI,
Yeah.
and it's going to be just all about AI upscaling. It's going to be all about leveraging AI to get better frames, and that's cool. I just think that we're at a point now where like like I don't even think using the words AI is gonna appeal to people. I think AI fatigue is already a thing, and I know that this is like different. It's like it's a different realm, and I think it's probably a really good use of AI. Like pretty much anything that is a computer does now is being branded as AI because that's the hot thing. But
Yeah.
I think it may be a mistake for that to be the main selling point. But obviously, I don't know that it's going to be. I just think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty reasonable. I mean, there, I don't remember exactly what it's called. Is it called frame
Frame
insertion?
generation?
Okay, yeah, maybe it's just frame generation where it uses AI to like predict what a dropped frame would have looked like.
Not a drop frame. It's like well, I may be wrong about this, but I think what it is you take like a 30 FPS and then they insert frames in between each so that it becomes 60 FPS all of a sudden. And they're like generating the frames in between so you get more frames.
Well, that may be it. I thought it was more of like your system is only capable of running 30 FPS, but you tell it to run 60, and it runs as many as it can, and for every that it can't, it uses AI.
And that very well could be it as well. It may not be always like a sandwich, just kind of like make sure it's always smooth,
Yeah.
60.
And from what
I
I've heard,
think that is really cool.
yeah, that is really cool. And from what I've heard, it looks pretty great on like already kind of high powered rigs. Like say you really want 144 FPS, but you're only capable of like 120, with your rig. And so you're properly rendering and running most of these frames, but every now and then you get an AI frame, and people say that's a really great experience. But I've heard like from some people using frame generation on like a Steam Deck, for instance, which is low power, to take like a 30 FPS and make it a 60, or take a 60 and make it a 90, that it can be a little jarring and that doesn't always work very smoothly. It also apparently really increases latency with every AI frame you have to use. So that's why you don't want to use as many as literally half, half of your frames.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Let's move into some of the comments here. I think this is going to, kind of lead our conversation.
Alrighty.
Hit us with Mellow Baton here.
We got a comment from Mellow Baton here. Well, you read the poll, so I was going to read the first comment,
Yeah, you go for it, man.
Anyway, Mellow Baton said, I hope we get games that actually make use of the hardware. We barely have games that make use of the base PS5 hardware. That's what we've been saying. I mean,
it's true, though. It's true. I mean, like, so much of it, I think, is not a knock on the PS5. It's more about that we've had the largest cross-gen period that I think maybe ever. We still have games coming out for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, and Xbox One. Like, we're still getting so many cross-gen games in 2024, 4 years after these consoles have launched. It's about to be 5 years. No, I guess it's 4 years because it launched in 2020.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I was saying on a podcast that it doesn't even hardly feel like the new generation of consoles have like taken hold, still didn't feel like a new generation. I don't really feel like that anymore. Like I kind of feel like maybe we're finally here, but as Benjamin Darling did just say on a live comment, a huge percentage of players are still on the PS4.
Yeah, I think
we got
did
stats
a
on that
podcast. We talked about that one time. I think it was like
we did.
That 50% or something. Was it 50%? We're still
it was around
on
that, I think.
PS4. It was an ungodly number of people who are still playing on PlayStation 4.
Oh, it was extremely ungodly.
Yeah. I mean, the PS4 sold really, really well. And a lot of people are still playing the games like that are still popular. Like the most popular games right now. Take your Fortnites, stuff like that. Like those games are still perfectly playable on PS4, so there was no need to upgrade.
Right.
So they're still just playing on them.
Now that you got Vampire Survivors, you really don't have to upgrade because that game's a freaking banger. And it's finally on PS4 and PS5. So, Randy, our PlayStation 5s are special. Okay?
Yes.
They're special because they have a little protrusion on them that allows us to continue to use the archaic technology that is physical media. Okay? Now, hit us with this next comment because it kind of
Yeah.
feeds into that.
Yeah, Anthony Campos is saying here, I need to know if there's a disc version.
Same.
And this is something that, the leak drawing shows a digital version. Mm-hmm. But it does have the split. And we know what Sony's doing now is that they are offering the disc version and the digital, or they have a separate disc drive that you can buy and put on there. I don't know. I mean, we don't know yet if there is going to be a disc drive on this Pro model.
Yeah, we don't know. My guess is that we probably just have to use that external one. That's my guess.
You think it's only going to come digital? It'll be one PS5 Pro, and if you want to put an external disc drive on it, you can. You can just buy one of those.
I do think that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, I think that my guess is that there will be both a digital and a disc, just like they've been doing this whole time with the PS5.
Yeah.
You have your two options at two price points. I think that's what they'll do with the Pro. Now that they have it in people's head that you can get a PS5 two different ways, and it's the same console, but one has a disc drive, one doesn't. I don't see why they wouldn't continue with that with the Pro.
Because they have the external thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying that's why they don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fair too.
Maybe
Maybe
it'll
that's
be a
what
bundle.
they're leading towards.
Maybe they'll sell you a discless PS5 with an external disc drive in the same box.
in the same box.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
All right, we got one last comment here. This is from Tamalio the Tomato, who said, I don't think I'll ever buy a console again. All their games are going to PC anyways, so I'm just researching and trying to figure out what I need to upgrade from the 3060 to the 4070 Ti Super. Duper.
Well, I don't know how to tell you to upgrade. I do have a 4070 Ti Super in my
Duper.
PC. That is the graphics card I have. I can tell you it works really well, but to go to your main point here of not ever buying a console again because everything's going to PC, there's a lot of, like, it makes sense, honestly. It's not a crazy thing anymore to say you don't need a console.
It is not crazy. I think if you had a PC and whatever's coming next from Nintendo, you are going to be a happy gamer for a hot minute. That's what I think.
Nintendo is the one exception, isn't it?
It is. It definitely is.
It's the one place where you still need a console. And I would say, like, PC Switch right now, you can play 99% of things and you'll be fine. Some things you may need to be a little patient about. You got to wait for some games. But
yeah,
to go to PC is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I thought that I kind of took a pause there because I wasn't sure what you meant. But yes, you got to wait for, these games to hit PC. But you're going to be waiting a whole hell of a lot longer if you're waiting on Nintendo games. So
no, I mean, like, I think like Final Fantasy 16. Like, say you really wanted to play the new Final Fantasy game and it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Well, we know now that it's about to come to PC, and I guess it's about a year after it released on PS5. So I'm going to guess that's going to be the trend for most PlayStation games. About a year to 2 years after they come out on PlayStation, they're going to go to PC.
Yeah, I'd say that's a decent guess.
Mm-hmm. And so you just don't really need it. Last thing before we move on, Daniel, what do you suspect that a PlayStation 5 Pro is going to cost?
Well, a regular PlayStation 5 is about $500, right?
Correct.
So I reckon for a Pro, they've got to upcharge you a little bit, right?
I think so, yes.
So I'm thinking maybe $650.
I just 650. We're getting back into the original PlayStation 3 cost. Wasn't it $600?
It was a lot at first. I know
was
that.
it like some of the models, some of the higher? I'm gonna look up what that was like. It was crazy.
What do you think? What's your guess?
Oh, yeah. It was $600 for the 60 gigabyte model. It was $500 for the 20 gigabyte model. Yeah.
So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, the way it should work, the way it has worked all the way up until this generation is that when you got to the midway point and they did a mid-cycle refresh, gave you your pro consoles, gave you the refresh consoles, they would make the old ones cheaper and then put the new ones in at that same price point. So like a PS5 Pro would come out at 500 and the PS5 would drop down to 400, to compensate.
Yeah.
But that's not what we've seen. In fact,
That's
we've
not
seen
going to happen.
the opposite. The PS5 just saw its third price increase since launch in Japan. So it's not getting cheaper. In fact, it's getting more expensive in Japan, and they haven't changed in prices in the US. And that goes for the Switch, the Xbox, the PlayStation. Besides sales, like temporary sales when they go on sale, the price hasn't changed. And when you account for inflation, we have some pretty heavy inflation. That means that all these consoles are getting more expensive and not getting cheaper.
Yeah, but here's the good part about that. The good part is that we are at such a stage in our technology that we are seeing greater leaps than ever before. So, Randy, while you may be spending $100 or $150 more, we're talking about a what would essentially be a generational increase here. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously I'm being sarcastic because that's just not the way it works anymore.
No.
And it's a sad state of affairs.
No, I mean, that's the thing. That's the reason, one of the reasons that it hasn't felt like this generation has started is because the leap from PlayStation 4 or Xbox One to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, most games, like 95% of the games that you get, they do run on old consoles, and they don't really look any different. It's been the smallest, and I know that like every generation, the leap is less and less. But this is the first one where it didn't even hardly feel like there was any progress.
Do you want to hear something that'll make you happy?
Yeah.
You want to, this is what it's like. So we've played games a long time, right? And like PS5, PS4, all that, we played it. So like that stuff isn't new to us anymore. But we have a mutual friend whose name is Andy. And
Yes.
Andy has had my base model, like opening day, PlayStation 4, for like a while now, like well over a year, if not closing in on 2 years, because I really wanted him to play The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 and Red Dead 2, right? Well, finally, he started playing Red Dead 2. And this is like what it's like to see the world through the eyes of a babe,
Yeah.
Andy sends me this text, and he's like, dude, I know this isn't anything new because you've been playing these games, but just looking out into the distance on this game, the draw distance, like the sheer amount of things that I can see from so far away, it is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And that is a console that is basically
Over 10
a
years
generation.
old, yeah.
It is a generation and a half behind at this point because we're talking about a mid-cycle refresh. That's
But you're
the
also
kind
talking about Red Dead 2, which is a game from 2018, so it's not that old of a game. But the console, yes.
That's 6 years, bro.
Yeah, I know.
That's quite a... Anyway, I just, we're talking about what is this even going to do for us? But there are people out there who are like seeing stuff like that for the first time and having their minds blown. And I just think that's cool.
Yeah, and it is. It is very cool.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm interested to see how Sony tries to sell me a PS5 Pro. Will they do it? I love my stuff.
I predict that they will sell you one.
They sold me this thing. They sold me this thing, and I keep it by me at all times.
Yeah,
I never let it leave my side.
They sold me that thing as well. The difference is they ain't gonna get me again. I will not be bamboozled like that again.
Actually, the more I'm not going to lie to you. I know the Portal is easy to crap on. I really like the Portal. I think the Portal's cool.
The Portal's comfortable. The Portal's comfortable. It's fun to play, but it can't do really anything that you couldn't already do. And I think the whole time we were leading up to it, we were both like, I don't see what this is going to do that we can't already do, but maybe it'll have the sauce. And I'm here to tell you, it just didn't. With the right circumstances, does it work fine and is it fun? Yes, 100%. But you could have already done that.
Yeah, I know.
And I won't be had
can do
again,
this.
Sony.
You can do the same thing with the Steam Deck. You can do the same thing with a controller attached to an iPad or your phone
Yeah.
or any computer. You know, you can already remote play. But it is kind of neat to have the more, it feels more like the authentic experience on the Portal than anywhere else. So,
It does.
got to give it that.
It does. Well, yeah, it does. Except maybe if you're using your Steam Deck, which has DualSense features, if you're using a DualSense controller, then it's the same. But
But you may not get the those DualSense features through remote play, except on a Portal.
no, that's what I'm saying. I get them on Steam Deck if I'm using a DualSense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Like, they're there.
Yeah.
And you can get them on PC a lot of times if you plug in your DualSense. So, but that's not remote play. But anyway, yeah, this ain't crap on the Portal time.
No, it isn't. I reckon that brings us to the end. But the last thing we like to do for all you guys, we just like to say thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. Look, if you want more of the podcast, we actually film a bonus episode every week, but it is for YouTube members. And so if you'd like to check out and become a member, just check out the join button on the YouTube version of this podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about the new Legend of Zelda trailer that dropped. We're going to be breaking it down and giving our thoughts on that in the bonus episode. So if you want to check that out, check out that join button.
Well, yeah, we are about to film the bonus episode and talk about Zelda. Randy stole my thunder there. I was supposed to tell you that. But here are our podcast members, and we sure as hell do appreciate you. Heck, Landon, Guy, and Kit, y'all are the realest. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys for supporting us and keeping us going. We could not do this without you guys.
Alrighty, well, Randy, is it that time?
It's that time. We're going to end it here. So until next time, guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
This has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out.